regarding potential, what do you mean by potential, how to estimate the potential, all those things. Due to a group of point charges, due to uniform charge distribution, all three, linear, surface and volume, how to estimate the potential because of that kind of distributions. That part is over now. If any doubt, ask. So, then we will proceed for the next topic, that is capacity, right. But before going to that, let me clarify the few things which we have covered already. What is the role of placing a charged conductor near another neutral conductor? First answer this. Before proceeding, you should understand this thing. What is the role of placing a charged conductor near the neutral conductor? That means, if there is a conductor, let us say this is a conductor, then you place near that a charged conductor. So, what will happen? Let it be positive charge, other one is neutral, other one is neutral. This is neutral conductor, this is charged conductor. So, something will happen, what will happen? Charge will induce. What do you mean by induce? Charge is not there or it was there in this body. What is the charge? Then where is the question of charge? You are one side you are telling it is neutral, again you are telling that it has charge. What does it mean? Then it is neutral. Where is the charge? If equal amount of positive and negative charges are there, where is the question of charge? If equal amount of positive and negative charges are there, like atom is charged or neutral? This neutral conductor is charged or neutral? It is also neutral. Then what will happen? If you take this charged conductor near that neutral conductor, then what will happen? What phenomena or what kind of interaction will take place? As a result of that, you are getting a new thing which was not there, but it will appear. You come back to the, let us say there is an atom, right, nucleus is there and around it there is electron cloud like this, right. So, now it is neutral, right. Like that the material is also neutral. It may contain similar type or dissimilar type of atoms, but ultimately it is a neutral object. So, now come back to the atom, which is the building block of any material, may it be element or compound, right. So, this is an atom, you are telling it is neutral, right. So, when it is under the influence of an electric field, what will happen? Tell, then only you can understand, right. Atom is neutral, but when it is coming under the influence of an electric field, is there any change in that atom or it will remain as it is? What is that change? What that change is? That I want. Without field, neutral. With field, what will happen? The same thing will happen here also. What will happen to that atom? What change will occur? What do you mean by a field? Any field, source of energy, right? Field is nothing but the source of energy. So, when energy is given to the atom, what may happen? Depending on the energy, it will be excited or not, right. It requires some amount of energy. That is why the field strength will decide whether the atom will go to the excited state or will remain as it is. Any field cannot take this atom to excited state, right. To go to the excited state, it requires some energy. If that energy is available, then only it can go, otherwise not, right. So, when you are applying the electric field, you should be very careful about the strength of the field. What is the strength of that electric field applied to the atom? Whether it is eligible to bring the atom to the excited state or not, right. If the field energy is not sufficient, then it will never go to the excited state, but if it is sufficient, then it can and it should, right. So, that means this E will decide what to do with the atom. What is the strength of the electric field applied? that will decide whether the atom can go to the excited state or not, right. Then now the question is, if the amount of energy of the field is sufficient enough to take out one electron out of it, it is no more atom, right. It is no more atom, rather it is electron ion pair, right. Electron ion pair will be constituted when the field strength is sufficient enough to take out one electron from the atom, otherwise not possible. The strength is very important, right. The strength of the field, that is the energy supplied to the atom, is very important to tell whether an atom can be ionized or not. Now the question of ionization comes, right, and that ionization is done with the help of the electric field, because it is the source of energy, right. Field is source of energy, but when that source of energy is sufficient, then only it can go for ionization, otherwise not. Then we cannot tell that there is an atom with the influence of high strength electric field which can ionize the atom. Rather, you should have to tell there is a positive charged ion and an electron. It is no more atom, and that happens here also, right. That happens here also, same thing, because ultimately the material which is a conductor consisting of atoms may be of same type or different type, but origin is the atom, right. Then here what will happen, similarly positive and negative charges are separated out from that atom, that happens. There is no more atom here, right. So long as atom you are telling, you can never tell that the charge appears, right. But if the field strength is sufficient enough to break the atoms of that material, then obviously you can tell the charges are separated out, positive ion and electron. Before that, combined, neutral atom. So neutral atom is different from these charge carriers developed because of the field strength. No conductor, no field, no dissociation. If field, the strength is enough, if, then only there will be dissociation of electron and positive ion. And ultimately what will happen, if this is a positive charge body, then the negative charge will come to this side, positive charge will go to the other end. It is obvious, the rule of attraction and repulsion, Coulomb's law, right. Nearer is attractive force strength more, other one is the repulsive force. Because of that, it is separated out to the other side with the distance, right. So this is the distance shorter and this is the distance longer. So obviously strength of this charge is more on negative than positive, and that way again this is repulsive, which tries to push them, but this tries to attract them. That is why it is now arranged in this way, which you called as induction, right. So that is the induction, but still it is neutral, still the body is neutral, right. So induction does not mean that it is totally charged. The phenomena is induction, because of that the charges get separated out from the atomic level, so that negative charge come to this side, positive charge go to the other side, right. But if you take these charges to earth, which is a large potential body, then this charge will go flow to the earth, right. Then if it is flow and you will take this body out, then what will happen, whatever negative charge, only negative charge will be there is no positive charge. Now you can tell this body is charged, right. So long as this body is present, you cannot tell it is charged, because the negative charges are attracting towards them only, even though the positive charge is not there, but these electrons are not distributed uniformly across the body, right. Still induction is appearing, and once you take out this body away, then whatever charge is there, because of potential of this body here, they will be redistributed among the whole body, and then you can tell now it is charged, right. Then only the body will get charged negatively. So these opposite charges will appear, but still the body is neutral, it is never charged, so long as you are not taking out this body away from it. So in that process, you are doing charging a body, maybe positively or negatively, accordingly you have to select what kind of charge is required for getting a positively charged body or a negatively charged body, but the process is involving induction. Induction means because of this charge you are getting charge, that is process is called as induction, right. Because sometimes the word induction is come to us also, you are induced by your parents, same thing, it is induced by the charge conductors. That behavior is there everywhere with living and non-living objects. and here it is non-living object, but it sometimes happens in the living object, not sometimes, every time, all the time, right. Induction is a property by which somebody is induced by the other, may it be living or non-living, and that happens here because of this charged body, it gets induced to get charge, and that process is called as induction, right. So, then now in this process you can tell a body or a conductor can be charged by induction, right, as per your requirement. You need positive charge or negative charge, that is up to you. How do you want to charge the body, right. So, that is the process by which any body can be charged, and the process is called as the induction, electrical induction. So, any neutral body can be charged in that way. And now if you will see one thing here, let us say here is a conductor having of course neutral atoms in it. Once you are telling conductor, of course if it is a conductor electrical, then free electrons are there, that you know, means already ionization is existing, right. If it is a metallic conductor, why it is a conductor? Because charge carriers are available, that is why, right. So, what are the charge carriers? Free electrons and ions, they are the charge carriers. So, when it is a metal which is a good conductor of electricity, many free electrons and positive ions are available there, that is why it is a good conductor. And we call a material is good conductor of electricity when charge carriers are available plentifully, means number of charge carrier per unit volume is extremely large, right. Then only you can tell that body as a electrical conductor. So, if you go for the band gap, if this is the conduction band and this is the valence band, then they will superimpose with each other, no gap at all, right. There is no gap at all, there is no band, because one band is superimposing with the other. So, whatever electron is available in the valence band, automatically they will go for conduction, and that is why it is a conductor. But in case of insulator, the gap is very large. If this is valence band, this is the conduction band, this is the band gap, which is extremely large. So, to take an electron from the valence band to that band, it requires sufficient energy, and you can never get that energy to take the electron from here to there, that is why it is insulator. So, in conductor there is no gap, both the bands are superimposing with each other, but in insulator the gap is extremely large. So, to overcome that gap energy, it requires plenty of energy to the electron to come from valence band to conduction band. It is never happening if it is an insulator, it is never happening. That is why insulator is all the time remain as an insulator. Whatever energy you may supply, but it will never go, and so long as it will not go, it will never responsible for conduction. And once there is no conduction, it can never be called as a conductor, right. And if it is a semiconductor, that gap is a little bit less. This gap usually it come within the range of 5 electron volt, right. 5 electron volt gap, if it is there, it is a semiconductor, but here it is very large, means it may go to the order of 2-3 electron volt, 10 to the power 3 electron volt. The gap is very large, that is why it is an insulator, right. And so, here in conductor the gap is 0, no gap, because they superimpose with each other. In insulator it is going to the order of 10 to the power 2, sometimes 3 also. That is why never electron can jump from conduction to a valence to conduction band, because the gap is important, how much energy it needs to go from valence to conduction band for conduction. But in case of semiconductor, it is coming to be around 5 electron volt, right. Like for example, silicon, germanium are possessing that property called as the semiconducting materials, right. So, which is a better semiconductor if the gap is small, right. When the band gap is small, it is a better, because if you get little amount of energy, then it will go to the conduction band. But sometimes large band gaps are also useful, that depends on the application, for what kind of application you need that semiconducting material, right. And all the time not band gaps should be small, sometimes band gaps should be also large. So, depending on the requirement and application, you have to select what kind of semiconducting material will be beneficial for us. And this is the way how you are distinguishing conductors, insulators and semiconductors, right. So, now if you think about, then let this is a neutral conductor, Neutral, why? Because the total charge is 0, but already ionization takes place if it is a good electrical conductor like metals. So, in case of metals, plenty of charge carriers are available, plenty. If it is good conductor, obviously plenty. If it is a bad conductor, obviously it is less, because conductor is again of two kinds, good and bad, right. If it is a good conductor, plenty number of charge carriers are there per unit volume, but when that charge per unit volume is less, then it is never a good conductor, rather a bad conductor. It will conduct electricity, but not like good conductor. So, like that there are two kinds of conductors, one is good, other one is bad, and behind that again there is another conductor which is called a superconductor, right. That is a superconductor, means in these conductors there is some resistance, opposition is there, but in case of superconductor there is no such resistance. They can travel on their own way. If there is no resistance, they are free, right. But in case of conductor there is resistance, right. Even if the metallic conductors are having some resistance, if it is a good conductor, less resistance, if it is a bad conductor, more resistance, but resistance is existing. But when you go for superconductors, no resistance at all, zero resistance. That is why it is called as the superconductor. Plenty number of charge carriers are available in superconductor without any resistance. That is why they are called as a separate type of material, superconducting materials. So, now you know about the conductor, insulator, semiconductor and superconductor. They are all distinguished from each other on the basis of charge carriers per unit volume, right. Everything will be explained in terms of charge carriers per unit volume. If superconductor extremely large, plenty, but if it is conductor less than superconductor, much more less, but again if it is good, more, bad, less again, but in case of insulator not at all, charge carriers are not available per unit volume, that is why it is an insulator. But if semiconductor, little bit less than insulator, right, insulator not at all, but if it is a semiconductor there is, but small amount, right. So, they all defined. You see, when you are defining a material, so far as the electrical property is concerned, you can express in many ways, sometimes by resistance or resistivity, right, sometimes by band gap, right. So, and sometimes by charge per unit volume, charge density, right. So, by three ways you can explain the same material, whether it is a conductor, insulator, semiconductor or superconductor, right. Either you may select resistance, or you may select the band gap, or you may select the charge density. Charge density means charge carrier density, right, charge carrier density. Carrier means electron and positive ion. They will decide whether a material is conducting or insulating or superconducting or semiconducting. So, either you can write in terms of resistance or band gap or charge carrier density, right, charge carrier density. Charge carrier means who carries the charge, either electron or positive ion, both are charge carriers, right. So, in that way you can tell what will happen when there is a neutral conductor, but charge carriers are available, and you take here an charge body and place nearby it. Without placing the body, situation is different. With placing the charge body, situation will be again different, right. So, what will happen? Before keeping the body, what will happen to the charge carriers? Charge carriers are existing or not, because it is a conductor. It is neutral, but charge carriers are there, right. Then before placing this charge conductor and after placing the charge conductor, how that will change? What will happen to this conductor? What will be there before placing the charge conductor near it and after? Situation will be different or same? It will be different. And what is the difference? What is the difference? The difference is that although the free charge carriers are available here, but they are not at rest, they are moving randomly. The electrons are moving very fast in comparison to positive ions because of their mass. Mass of positive ions are much more higher in comparison to electron. So, electrons are moving randomly and freely. Positive ions are also moving randomly and not freely like electron, but moving, right. They are moving with small velocity, electrons are moving with faster because of their mass, right, but they are moving randomly, but still that is neutral, net charge is 0, right. But when you place this charge conductor nearby, then what will happen to the motion of those charge carriers? Can it be random or restricted? Without placing charge conductor, it is random. Both positive ion as well as electron are moving randomly. Electrons are moving with higher speed, charge ions are moving with less speed, but both are random motion. So, before placing this conductor, random motion with both the charges, electron as well as the positive ion, although electron is moving faster than the ion, but it is random. But when you place this charge conductor nearby, then what will happen to that kind of random motion? Is it again random or it will change? It will change, and that is induction, right? Because now the field will compel them to or force them to put in different way. There was no force, that is they are moving randomly. No field, no force. But when there is force, the force is nothing but equal to Q times E. So, field is there means force is there. All the charge carriers are experiencing force, may it be positive ion or negative charge. All will experience the force, and because of that force, which is a vector quantity, they are compelled to go in a certain direction, which were not there before placing this conductor. Right now, the charge carriers available here moving randomly are compelled, are bound to move in a certain direction with reference to the field direction. What kind of field is applied? So, that will decide electron will go in what direction and positive ion will go in what direction. That tells the relation. Positive, if it is Q is positive, that is positive ion, then obviously directions are same, right? But if you are taking an electron, opposite, field is applied in this direction, electron will go in this direction, right? Because it tells F direction is negative or opposite of E direction, if it is electron. If charge is electron, then direction of F and E are opposite, but when there is positive ion, both are same. Force is acting on the direction of the field over the positive ion, but over electron opposite. If field is in this direction, force is in other direction. This is the relation to measure the force, how much amount of force will be there on the charge carriers, may it be electron or positive ion. So, now we tell if these ions are moving randomly here, if you take this conductor, if you take this positive charge conductor nearby, now they cannot move randomly, right? They cannot. Rather, they are compelled to go and settle down in two ends, right, and that is induction. Now, you can tell this charge, the conductor gets induced by presence of that charge body, that is called as induction. The charge appears separately in two ends of the conductor, which was never there before placing this conductor. They are moving randomly, but now they are bound to remain in two ends of the conductor. If it is positive charge body, this side is negative, that other side is positive. They cannot move randomly now, they are sticking to these two positions. Then if you take this charge, the other end charge away, then what will happen? That charge will go away, then take this body away, then whatever remaining charge will be there, it will equally distribute over the whole body. That is why I am telling this is negatively charged. And similarly, you can do it positively charged also. If you will take a negative charge body nearby, then you can charge the body positively. So, depending on your requirement, you have to charge it whether it is positive or negative. So, now if you are doing this, now tell, you see, so now if you are placing this body nearby, I am telling in terms of potential. What will happen to the potential? A neutral body is there, conductor, right, whether it has potential or not first, it is a neutral body, whether it has potential or not. You take any neutral body, maybe a metallic conductor also, right, but if you take a neutral body, whether it has potential or not, electric potential. So, what will happen here? When the body is neutral, what will happen to the potential, electric potential of that body? Zero, right, but when you place this nearby, you are doing something, arrangement or not, you are doing something means you are arranging something. by that kind of arrangement, what will happen to this conductor? It is having now potential, or the arrangement has potential or not? Obviously, because charge is there. By that arrangement, you are creating charge or not. So, when you are creating charge, the thing is that suppose this is a conductor and this is a charge body, right. So, ultimately the negative charge will come to this side and the positive charge will go to the other side, right. It happens. Then now you see, when this charge body, so this is nearer and this is far away. So, this is a kind of uniform charge distribution at two ends, right. Uniform charge distribution is there at the two ends of this conductor. So, because of this charge body, which charges are influenced more? Because of this charge body, the influence of negative charge is more in comparison to positive charge. So, attraction is more, repulsion is less, right. Net charge you will get, net field you will get, and net potential you will get. Try to understand that. Attractive force is more, field strength is more, potential is more because of negative charge, but not because of positive charge on the other side, right. So, by this kind of arrangement, you are changing the potential of the system, electric potential of the system, right. Then it depends on what? Suppose I will add more number of charges to this, more number of charges, then what will happen? Field strength will increase, force will increase, potential will increase, right. Potential of the system, I am telling, whole system. The potential of the system will depend on charge addition to this charge body. That is why the potential is directly proportional to Q, right. The potential of the system, whatever you are doing here, is proportional to what quantity of charge is there in this conductor, right. Then this V is equal to a constant times charge, right. Yes, I better write K. K is a constant. To remove that proportional symbol, you are taking a constant, right. So, then I can tell this K is nothing but equal to 1 by C, where C the capacity of that conductor or that arrangement, right. That constant is nothing but equal to 1 by C, where C is the capacitance of this arrangement. So, then now you can tell capacity is nothing but equal to Q by V or not. Capacity of any arrangement is nothing but equal to Q by V. Now, you define what do you mean by capacity. How can you define now the capacity? Capacity of a conductor, let us say, because you are adding charge, potential will change. It is obvious, right. When you are adding charge to a conductor, its potential will go on changing. If addition, enhance; if subtraction, reduce, because it is proportional. If Q is more, potential is more; if Q is less, potential is less. That is why you are writing V is proportional to Q, right. Then what is the capacitance of that conductor? What do you mean by that? It is nothing but the ratio of the charge given to what? Potential developed, to potential developed because of charge addition. That quantity is called as the capacitance of a conductor, right. So, it not only depends on shape, size, etc., it depends on shape, size also, because you see, if I will take this charge conductor in this straight way parallel to it, it will have different organization, and if I will take it bending like this, then is it same or different? Different. Shape and size will also control, right. But anyway, maybe shape, size, but the most important factor is the charge. How much charge is inducing them? So, it is not only depends on the shape, size of the arrangement, rather it also depends on how much amount of charge is influencing the other conductor. That is why it is told that the potential of the system by this kind of arrangement is depending on this Q. You may change the shape, you may change the size, but ultimately Q is how much, which is influencing the other body, right. Suppose for example, you will take a plate like this, if you put it before the plate here, then whatever induction will be there, it will never be same when you bend this like this, because the whole amount of charge is distributed separately. and only this much portion is effective more. That is an arrangement. If needed, you can do, because you are doing the arrangement to get more capacity, right. So, by arranging them, so then what do you mean by capacity? You can define in this way. It is the ratio of quantity of charge added to the potential developed, right. If you are adding charge, how much potential is developed? That ratio is called as the capacity of a conductor. Or else you can tell C is equal to Q, how much amount of charge you are adding to the conductor, so that its potential is raising to 1 volt, when V equal to 1, C equal to Q, right. To raise its potential to 1 volt, how much quantity of charge is required? That is also capacity, but the unit of capacity is farad, because coulomb by volt is farad. Q is coulomb, potential is volt, coulomb by volt is farad, but farad is a very big unit. So, practically using it is microfarad is 10 to the power minus 6 farad, or picofarad 10 to the power minus 12 farad. Practical units of capacity is microfarad or picofarad, practical, because the farad is a very large value of capacity, to get it very difficult task, right. So, the practical unit of capacity is microfarad or picofarad. Sometimes it is also called as microfarad. Micro means pico, right. So, that is the practical unit of capacity. Now, you understand what you mean by capacity of a conductor? Every conductor has a capacity, right, but what is the capacity? To raise its potential to 1 volt, how much amount of charge you require, that is its capacity. So, every conductor has capacity, and you know it, what is that, right. So, now tell what is the capacity of a sphere, charge sphere. Can you find it out and tell me? Take a charge sphere, what is the capacity of radius r? Tell me the capacity. If there is a charge sphere of radius r, what is its capacity? Find out and tell me. If there is a charge sphere of radius r, you change the page. Let there is a sphere of radius r with charge q plus, what will be the capacity of that sphere, or spherical conductor, you can tell. How much? C is equal to, obviously you can use the formula q by V, and again you know V for a sphere, right. How much it is? 1 by 4 pi epsilon 0, then q by r. So, this q will cancel or not? Q cancels out, then you will get only 4 pi epsilon 0 r, of course capital R as per diagram, right. So, now tell the capacity of this charge sphere, it is independent of charge added, right or not? It is independent of charge added, it only depends on the value of r. If there is a big radius, its capacity is obviously more, right, but if it is a small sphere, its capacity is less, because the capacity for a sphere is proportional to only radius. Whatever charge you may add it or not, does not matter, but its capacity only depends on the radius and is proportional to radius. So, bigger spheres are having more capacity than smaller spheres. Big means in terms of radius, right. So, this is called as the capacity of a charged conductor. When it is charged, there will be capacity, and what is the capacity, that you can define. Whatever shape it may be, it is for sphere. Similarly, you can take a cylinder, a plate, anything. Every conductor has a capacity, and you should know that. How to estimate the capacity of that kind of conductor. It is just an example for sphere, right. Then now, what do you mean by capacitor? Capacity and capacitors are different. I told you till now capacitor, capacity, not told capacitor, right. You know now what is capacity, but what do you mean by then capacitor? It is an arrangement, it is a device that you have to arrange, right. Capacitor is an electrical device we have to arrange, to accommodate charge within that. That is called as a capacitor, right. So, you can tell it is the charge storage device. It is the charge storage device that we have to divide, we have to arrange how much charge or how much energy you want to store it inside the capacitor. Charge means energy, ultimately energy, right. Charge is potential, potential is energy. So, to store energy, the device that we are using are called as the capacitors, right. So, that is why I told you, when I am taking a, let us say, plate, this is a conducting plate, and take nearby another charged conducting plate. What you are doing here? Arrangement, right. You are doing some arrangement to change the potential of this system, right. To change the potential of the system now. That arrangement is made to change the potential and hence to store some amount of charge in this system, and that system is the capacitor, right. And depending on the arrangement, you can name it as parallel plate capacitor, spherical capacitor, cylindrical capacitor, right. So, that we have to arrange. If it is spherical, then there are two spheres, it is spherical capacitor, and in between there may be dielectrics or air or whatever you like. Then if it is cylindrical, then it is a cylindrical capacitor, right. These are two cylinders, coaxial cylinders, and similarly parallel plate. These are all arrangements one can arrange to get the capacity, because by this arrangement you are changing V in terms of Q. Same thing, Q is proportional to V in this arrangement also, but the device is called as a capacitor. It is no more capacity of this conductor, because there are two conductors, two plates, two spheres, two cylinders. No more it is a capacity, it should be capacitor. That is why this is called as the parallel plate capacitor, this is the spherical capacitor, this is the cylindrical capacitor, right. Depending on the arrangement you can name them. So, whether it is a parallel plate capacitor or spherical capacitor or cylindrical capacitor, right. So, now let us come for this, this is a sphere of radius r1 and the external radius is r2, and this is positively charged Q, inner sphere is positively charged and outer sphere is earth. Can you tell the capacity? Try for it and find out. What will be the capacity of this spherical conductor when the external sphere is earthed? Try for it and do. You understand, it is a spherical capacitor, one inner sphere, another outer sphere, but it is hollow, it is not solid. So, in between there is gap. If nothing is there, it is air, right. Air is having dielectric constant 1, but if you put water, dielectric constant 80. If you put any other material, dielectric constant will again change. So, the capacity will change, but I am telling just for air you tell. Let us say there is vacuum or air, nothing is there, for which dielectric constant is 1. Then how to estimate the capacity? You just tell the principle how to proceed, so that you can estimate the capacity of this arrangement. Because in this case what you can find out, let us say this is your sphere A, this is sphere B, two spheres are there, right. One is A, other is B. So, now I can write whose potential is more you are expecting, V or A. Here is charge, there is also charge induced, inner side is induced, outer side is taken away, right. So, if it is positive charge, there will be negative charge, same amount again, amount is same, right. Then the potential of B is more or A is more, A is more. So, V A minus V B is the potential of the system, that is the potential difference that you have to estimate first, right. So, after estimating this, you find the capacity, which is nothing but equal to V A minus V B, that you have to do, right. Understand now what to do, because in this arrangement you are not getting potential, rather potential difference between the two spheres, field is created. So, then what to do here, you let us take a point P, any point, right. So, now field is in this direction, E is in this direction or not, right, and you take the R in this direction, let us say dr or better say dl, then you know what is the potential, V A minus V B, how can you estimate, minus V to A E dot dl, right, to get this V A minus V B, then you can get V A minus V B, then you will get the capacity, right. How much it will be? You understand now what to do, because your purpose is to get the potential difference between B and A, right, because that is the potential created by this arrangement by adding due to the charge Q. So, the capacity of this arrangement or the spherical capacitor C is nothing but equal to Q by V A minus V B. First find V A minus V B, then use this formula C equal to Q by V A minus V B, that will give you the capacity of the spherical capacitor. But of course, you should have to tell whether the external sphere is earthed or inner sphere is earthed, but here I am telling the case of external sphere is earthed, because accordingly capacity will change, right. Earthing is with external sphere now, you can do the earthing with internal also, and the capacities are all different, they are not same. So, when you are telling capacity of a spherical conductor, whether the external sphere is earthed or internal sphere is earthed, you have to mention. Now, I am telling the case when external sphere is earthed. So, estimate it how much we are getting, let us see. But you remember one thing here, the length that you are considering E dot dl is nothing but equal to E dr. Be sure of that, what I am telling, right. Why? Because E and dl are in opposite direction and we are going in terms of radius, that length is interpreted in terms of radius. So, when the radius is decreasing, right, then what happens to dl? If you are coming to this side, what will happen to that? What will happen to dl? You see, when you are coming towards this, means r is decreasing, but when r is decreasing, what about your dl? Increasing. You are going in this direction dl, if it is more, that will be less r or not. When r is decreasing, what about your dl value? Increasing or decreasing? Increasing. That is why you can write this dr. dr is nothing but equal to minus of dl. Understand why? Because when dr is decreasing, your dl is increasing. Then you substitute this to calculate this, that is why you will get E dr, right. E dot dl here is E dr. So, that your integration now will go from r2 to r1 in terms of radius, then it is E dr, then it will be easy to integrate because the radius are well known. So, you check it, the capacity will come 4 pi epsilon 0 r1 r2 divided by r2 minus r1, you will check it, right. Do the integration, you will get this result, and that is positive or negative. Capacity can never be negative, remember it, because r2 is all the time more than r1. So, here also there is no charge, it is just arrangement. What are the radii of two spheres? That is all, right. The capacity of this type of spherical conductor is independent of charge. It only depends on what is the value of r1 and what is the value of r2. So, if this difference is more, capacity will be less. If the difference is less, capacity will be more. Then how can you arrange? You try it and get it, right. So, similarly, you try for when this inner sphere is earthed, you try yourself. Now, I am telling when external sphere is earthed, right. Similarly, try for inner sphere is earthed, and then try it also for the cylindrical capacitor when this outer sphere is earthed and this parallel plate which was placed nearby is earthed. Capacity of parallel plate capacitor when the outer plate is earthed, capacity of the cylindrical capacitor when the outer external cylinder is earthed, right. Try to do it, we will discuss in the next class.